Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it was sent to me by one of our admins who translated this message for us. The translation reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as anonymous? So my brother, I am a 38-old man who is a South African man. I used to have it all, but this thing of rituals, it destroyed everything. My wife divorced me. This was 2 years ago. And after my wife had divorced me, I thought that, oh well, I am someone who is working, who has a very nice job. I will be able to get another woman, then get married again. But everything just went downhill from there on. So what happened, Brother Nashi, is this. When we were very young, at that time, I was somewhere around 20 years. That was when we went to Zim. So this was a planned trip because we grew up going to the ZCC Church. And there was this other particular trip where we were told that we were supposed to go to that ZCC Church, which is also in Zim, because they have their own Maria, like we have our own here in South Africa. So we went there. When we went to Zim, what we did not know, me and my siblings, was that my father and my mother, they had already communicated with this other man who was staying in our area, because we grew up in Mankweng, but later on we then came to Gauteng. So there was a man who was also from Zim, but he was going to the ZCC Church. So he had communicated with my father, because my father, he used to work for Transnet before he had passed away. So at work, it seemed as if there was someone who had bewitched my father, because he kept on having these swollen legs, and when he was taken to the hospital, it was said that he had elephantiasis. So my father had been going to some prophets, and he was told that even though at the hospital he had been told that he was suffering from elephantiasis, but what was happening was that he had been bewitched by some of his workmates the time that he was moved to Gauteng. So there were people that did not like him there. So my father was bewitched. So that man also gave my father the same prophecy that for so many years some prophets from our church had been giving to my father, but they were not giving him any solutions. So this man, it seemed as if he had a solution to my father's sickness. He said that the man who was going to he said that the man whom he knew, who could only be able to heal my father, that man, he was in Zim. So unfortunately, that man, his ancestors did not allow him to travel from Zim coming to South Africa, so that he can come and do his rituals so that my father can be cured. So when at church, when we were told that we would be going to Zim to see their church there in Zim, which is the ZCC Church, this was the opportunity that my parents were waiting for. So we went on the bus. It was a bus full of other people that were also from our church, from ZCC, who were South African. We went there to their church there in Zim. But when the Easter conference was being done, that was when my father, my mother, and us, including that man, we then sneaked out and we went to his village. When we went to his village, we only rested for about a day, because the place you had to walk for a very long distance just to get to his village. We just slept whilst we were resting that night, and the following morning, it was I think around 4 a.m. That was when we were woken up. Then we were told that we were supposed to go to that traditional healer. This traditional healer, even though he was said to be staying in that village, but he had his shrine, which was up like high in the mountain. This mountain, it was said to be a forbidden mountain. And when my father heard that we were going to that forbidden mountain, he was happy, and he said that his salvation had finally located him. We climbed that mountain, which was very scary, and we kept on hearing these lions that were roaring. But that man told us that we were not supposed to be afraid, because the lions that we thought we had that were roaring, they were not like your lions, your natural lions, but they were ancestors of that mountain that were the ones that were roaring because they were waking up. We were taken to this other cave where that witch doctor's shrine was. We went into that cave, then the consultation began. At first we were told to wait outside, and whilst they were doing an operation on my father, that was when we called into the consultation room, because we were told that we were supposed to witness the witchcraft that had been placed on my father's body. So my mother was given a razor blade, and after that she was given a very sharp hunting knife. I was the one that was holding that sharp hunting knife. It was really sharp, my brother. Just holding the blade, you could actually cut yourself. So my mother was then told to cut my father open at the place where he was really swollen, and my mother took that razor blade as some of that traditional healers assistants were holding my father down, because this operation was done without any medication given to my father. My mother was just given that razor blade, then she started to cut. My father was screaming in pain as my father was opening up his legs, and after my mother had sliced my father's legs with that razor blade, she was then told to use the hunting knife. I then handed that hunting knife to her. Then she continued opening up a big wound. Then that traditional healer said it was enough. I saw everything, the veins, the white stuff, even the bones. Then that traditional healer came to the place where my father was sleeping. He was just screaming in pain. He started to tap my father's legs using his walking stick, and when he kept on tapping, that was when I saw some worms. There was one worm that came out of his right leg, then there was another worm that came out of his left leg. You know, there are those type of worms when they crawl on your body, like they will make you to get so itchy. Those were the worms that came out of his legs. And that traditional healer said that the people that had bewitched my father, they had used that type of a worm. So these worms, they were the ones that were eating my father's flesh from the inside, and when they would poop, then their poop would travel in his veins. This was what was making his legs to get so swollen like that. My father was healed, but the problem was that these worms, then they disappeared. That traditional healer said that since these worms had disappeared, my father was going to get sick again, unless if we were going to sacrifice. So my mother asked, what were we supposed to sacrifice? It was just a chicken that was needed. We bought that chicken because inside that mountain, that traditional healer, he keeps a lot of livestock. If he wants you to sacrifice something, you just give him the money, then he give you a chicken, a goat, or even a cow. So we bought that chicken and we sacrificed, and we were told that when we returned back to our country, we were supposed to keep on with the sacrifices, and this is what we did. So my father was okay, so much that he returned back to work. But the problems that started happening was that when we would be fast asleep, we would wake up feeling really scared, because we would hear some people that will be walking on our roof. Sometimes we would hear people like they will be throwing stones on top of our roof, and sometimes you could actually hear people that will be climbing down from the ceiling, and they will start walking in the living room and in the kitchen. And when you wake up in the morning, you will see that the whole place will be messed up. When we tried to speak with that man, we spoke with his wife. We were then told that the guy that we had met in Mankweng, the one whom we used to go with to church, who took us to Zim, that guy, he had been arrested because he did not have a passport. So we were unable to locate him because the wife said that they had a disagreement, and then she had moved out of Mankweng, so she was unwilling to assist my father. So after my father had passed away, my father, when he passed away, he was just screaming as if he was seeing people that were scary, that had came to take his life. That is how my father passed away. He kept on screaming throughout the night. When he was taken to the hospital early in the morning around 9 a.m., that was when he passed away. The nurses that were attending to him, they said that this was like the most painful death that they had ever witnessed when my father passed away. So after my father had passed away, my mom was staying with her sisters, and their sisters, they ran back to Limpopo because they were scared of the things that were happening at our house here in Jozi. So at that time, I was already married and working, because I was working also for Transnet because of my father's connections. When I thought of my mother, knowing that these were the things that we had witnessed at our house, I then spoke with my wife, and then she allowed me to take my mom. Then we started staying with our mother. The moment that I took my mom, that was when me and my wife started fighting. So at first I thought that maybe she hated my mother, but I saw that there was a spirit that was now following my mother. So after me and my wife started fighting, we stopped praying, we stopped going to church because of the way that we were fighting. And after she had cheated on me, and I just said, I won't go to church anymore, then the spiritual attacks, they continued. I have wasted a lot of money on these people that are from Zim, that say that they are prophets. They come with their water, they sprinkle the water everywhere, but it is not working. When these people come to sprinkle the water, I can only have maybe rest for only one night. Then the following night, then those things that come to mess up with our minds, they will be so angry. They will be throwing things on top of the roof. They will be moving around, chasing each other around the yard, so much that you cannot sleep. And now bad luck is following me. As for me, I can't be in a relationship because of the things that happen to me. Whenever I try to date someone, then I'll have a dream. I'll see this woman who will tell me that she is my wife, and if I continue dating the woman that I'll be dating, the woman will die. Even if I chase away that tokology, and if I try to pray to use salt and the water that I am given at church, that tokology will even come and it will laugh and it will say, don't you know that in Zim they even train us not to be afraid of this salt that you think I am afraid of. I am not even afraid of it. There was a time that I used to take some salt, like when this tokology was sleeping with me on a daily basis, so much that my back was really painful. So I would take the salt and I would put it in my underwear. This tokology would just come and remove that salt. When I would wake up the following morning, I'll see that my underwear, it will be placed underneath my pillow with that salt and everything. It is not even afraid. Even that Vimbela, it is not even afraid of it. This tokology just comes to me and it sleeps with me so as much as it wants. And as for my mom, right now you can see that she is no longer that happy woman that she used to be. She is always sad and she is always tired, and she always says that she just wants to die. She is tired of living. So I am asking for any prophet that can assist me. At church we returned, and I can see that they are even tired of me and my mother, because we took a lot of prophets from our church and we returned with them here to our house in Jozi, and they prayed for the house, but nothing changed. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by our admin. She was the one who did this translation for us. Strange things indeed, they do happen in this world. Yo.